Hi, everyone. It's Tifa. And this month, I'm going to be talking about skill use changes. So, what I used to do and how I used to do something, I'm not doing. So, first question might be is it a question of not being able to do something as well, losing my skill, or just not having the opportunity to do it, or something else? So let's talk for a second. Let's just say I haven't had a chance to do something recently. Or maybe I just haven't done something recently. The question is, has my skill been retained? In other words, have I kept the skill even though I haven't used it? And an example might be, if you've done something a long time in your life, you have sort of what we call that muscle memory, that motor memory, that procedural memory kind of thing. So, for instance, picking up a coffee mug. We don't typically think of that as requiring a lot of skill unless the coffee mug is really full. But let's say routinely, I don't fill the coffee mug up that much. I mean, there's usually about a half an inch to an inch of space at the top where I'm not. So how careful I have to be, how much skill I have to show and use to do that. Well, it's adequate for what I have until the time I fill it up a little bit more. And now, I spilled it. So the question then becomes well, did I lose skill and I can't recover it? So is it like a permanent direction of loss? Or is it possible that because I haven't rehearsed and practiced, I've lost a little bit of ability, but if I rehearse and practice, it will come back? Now the question becomes, do I want to put the effort in rehearsing and practice, or would I rather work on not filling the cup up as much? Compensation versus restoration. Do I want to restore some function, or do I just want to compensate for my changed ability? And as I gradually don't fill it up, and then maybe do I have an accident even though it's a half inch down? If not, then what we might say is, okay, well, now I've retained a skill for this ability and I'm going to maintain it because, as long as I keep filling up that half and I don't spill it, well, then evidently I still have the skill. Well, but let's say I do fill it up and now I start spilling. Now I'm losing ground, quite honestly, even though I was trying to keep going and I was doing this thing routinely, then my skill change isn't a disuse atrophy. It's actually, I'm trying to use it and it's no longer there. So now I have something that's changing on me. And it may change in a way that impacts how I do things. It may make me less safe. It may make me less skillful. It may make me seem different. It may cause me emotionally to feel different. And what I then might want to do is, I'm not going to drink out of an open cup. And you know what? I'm only going to drink out of something that's covered up. That way, I don't have to worry about it. So now I've actually switched. Now I'm really doing something different. And I'm not actually practicing that skill of upright anymore. So if it were only about drinking out of a cup, well, that would be okay. And if it was only about drinking one thing one time, but it turns out keeping something upright against gravity is something that, as an example, simple example, is something that pops up and creeps up and, is needed episodically, even when you don't actively think about needing something like that. And so sometimes what happens, we have skill changes that because we're focused on something else, we don't really recognize we aren't really as skillful as we were until there's an or a mistake or something, and somebody else might notice it before we do. And so we get to this place where someone else is pointing something out, or maybe I notice, wow, man, I am really not doing well on this. So then we get this emotional thing that goes on. And then the question becomes, do I have enough confidence and competence in myself, and competence to try, that I could choose and feel comfortable working on this and trying to figure this out and be willing to take the risk that I need to take to test this out? Can I get better if I try? Well, now there's another piece of emotion. Well, do I care enough about it? I mean, because it turns out human beings, as we live and age and go through our lives, we develop a lot of skills over time. And, frankly, sometimes we want to keep some of them because they come in so handy, or I care a lot about them. And then others I keep, I develop, and then, I let them go because, I'm not doing that anymore. So let's take that, riding the bike business. When you're a young kid, often that ability to get on a bike, and first with a tricycle, and maybe then with training wheels, and then maybe they take the training wheels off. And sometimes we have things happen, we take training wheels off, but sometimes you make it through there, okay? And gradually you become more able to do this thing with your body on a bike without the training wheels. And sometimes people get quite good at it, and it's a great way to get around. It gives you a level of speed and independence. And so what you are figuring out is, look, even though I'm a being that can move around with my feet, now I've got another way to get around. How cool is that? And that's sort of fun and exciting and interesting. It's great. And then we get a car. Whole bunch of new skill sets. But now the bike may or may not stay part of my life. And so I could go years and years without doing anything much with a bike or many other things. I mean, just picking a bike just because. Now all of a sudden I'm at the beach and somebody suggests, let's get the bike and ride down the boardwalk. And it's like, I haven't been on a bike in a long time. So now I have to guesstimate. I have to really do this guesstimate. What do I think my skills are at this point compared to how they were? Do I feel confident and competent enough to give this a try? And am I going to be accurate? So that self-awareness thing. And then there are other people around. Well, you've ridden before, haven't you? And so now that's sort of like that dare. Come on, let's try it. You could do this. And let's say, though, I have something in my history that says, well, but I've had accidents on bikes before. Oh, now there's a whole different thing here. And that fear of failure can really get in our way for trying something. Or do I have enough support that this might actually work out? If I get a wide tire and I'm not trying to do gear shifts at the same time, it's a nice flat seat, it's a nice flat surface, not a lot of hills, not a lot of people, not a lot of traffic. In other words, I'm using environment to my advantage. The task has been somewhat simplified because I haven't done this in a while. I don't know how it's going to go. My partner, if I have one, is being supportive, but not pushing me, just supporting me. There's a difference between pushing and supporting. Sometimes it's hard to tell what you're doing until somebody gives you a push back, and then you realize, guess I was pushing. Sorry. I was just trying to be supportive. And then we have to realize there's the environment, there's my helper, has anything changed in me that I should know about? Do I have changes in my vestibular system? Do I have changes in my fine motor skill sets? Do I have changes in my sequencing, my visual perceptual skills? Do I have changes in my strength, endurance, coordination, balance? Boy. Now, let's talk about the possibility of living with neurocognitive degeneration, dementia, brain change. What do we think? Well, we know the direction that this system is traveling. So the question then becomes, how do we provide just the right support, the opportunities, the environment, the emotional support, but not pushing for people to regain, attain, sustain, compensate, find comfort, because sometimes it gets a little too painful to keep trying something and realize it doesn't matter how hard I try, I can't seem to figure out how to do it. Or if you give me really painful feedback about how I'm doing. So that balance of helping me challenge myself to sustain what I can, but not asking me to be more than I can, and helping me figure out who am I and what can I do and what do I want to do and what do I like to do and how are we going to get this to work? Because over time, I'm going to change. So are you. But this whole idea of being whole as I am, but being interested in still continuing to grow new synapses, sustain my synapses, find new places to be, find a way to feel valued and purposeful. Find a way to find pleasure and joy in being alive. Find a way to stay healthy, body and brain, or be as well as I can be. I mean, maybe it's just as well as I can be. That's all I can do. Or maybe letting go of things that, you know what, that's a lot of effort and I'm making some choices. And how do we both get comfortable with the choices? And even if we have a disagreement about whether or not that's a good choice, for you, it wouldn't have been a good choice. For me, it's certainly a choice that I'm making. Does it impact you? And now you may have to make some hard choices about your skill and my changing abilities and my changing interests. Wow. This is a lot. But if we don't start thinking about the complexities, what we start assuming is that the other person is just not trying, that the other person could if they would, that the other person doesn't want to, that the other person is being lazy or not even putting any effort into it. When in fact, what we might be seeing is a different kind of change. Maybe it's not a physical change. Perhaps it might be something significantly different. So till next time, consider skill changes. It's not all about one of us. It's about all of us.
Hey folks, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to help us spread Teeps's positive approach message around the world. And don't forget to click the bell to get notified when new videos are posted.